Hi everyone, this is Jonathan Leitonen, and I'm the Instruction and Reference Specialist here at the Montgomery Library. I hope you are all having a good semester so far. All right, so the focus of this instructional session is how to use various library resources to create properly formatted APA citations. So let's start with a really helpful resource as an introduction to citation skills. So on the library homepage, scroll down and click the red button for Library Guides. And then you scroll down to the C section and click Citation Styles. But just a reminder, the purpose of citation is to show what ideas came from your sources. This helps your reader know what ideas and language are your own work and what ideas and language are borrowed from your sources. If you are not clear about this, you are probably plagiarizing something even by accident. And plagiarism is taking credit for something you did not do yourself. And you never want to take credit for someone else's work. That's just super unprofessional. So always mention the author's name directly in the paragraph you are writing. That way you give them credit. And really, it only takes one plagiarism case or one case of using AI to write a paragraph in your paper, and it will be really difficult for your professor to ever trust you again for your whole time here at CU. You need your professors to trust you, especially if down the road you might need a letter of recommendation, because if you're plagiarizing and not following citation requirements, they're just not going to view you very positively. So please take your professor's citation rules really seriously. So to find information about APA format for sources, scroll down to the section on APA style resources here. Let's look at the first one, Sample Citations of Common Sources for List of References, APA Style 7th edition. Scroll down here, so there's different kinds of works. So if your professor says you need to get a journal article, let's take a look here. So here's how you cite a journal article. And by the way, yeah, if you're citing it in the paragraph, that's called a parenthetical citation. And if you're using it in the sentence of a paragraph, you write Grady et al. 2019 argue that emotions are important in storybooks. So anyway, here's a tip that I recommend for everyone. So especially if you're kind of new to APA, you can copy this into your works cited and use it as a model. So here I made a sample paper. It's really just a title page and then a list of references. So I'm going to paste this here, and then I'll format it a little bit so you can see what it should look like. Let me take the bold off. And then here's a tip to make it hanging indentation. The second, third, and fourth line should be indented. So here's how you do that. You click this paragraph settings button, and then you do hanging. And it'll hang by a ½ inch. So this is just a sample citation, and then we'll compare our later citations to this. So that's an article in a periodical, so some kind of scholarly journal. Let's go back here. And we're going to get a book, right? And we'll do chapter in an edited book, because these are 3 common types you'll see as a student. Okay, so we can do that. And I'll merge the formatting here. And then I'll put it in to hanging indentation. We'll also do a chapter in an edited book, because those are pretty common, especially in sciences. And then click here to merge format. And then remember paragraph. Click paragraph, then under indentation, special should be hanging. Chapter in an edited book. You see, now these are my examples. So if you're new to citation, then you can use those to compare the format here to citations you make later on and make sure they're correct. All right, so that's one way you can use this citation guide here. You find sample citations and you check the format piece by piece, authors, title, things like that, page numbers. And then let's look at this. So here's how to format a paper. I provided this link here. So this shows you how to format a paper. So it tells you about how to set up the font, the header, so title page setup. So I just followed this guide here, and that's what I made right here. And I have the page number here. I just followed exactly what I saw here. And then on references, list setup. So I'm following these instructions. So that's what I'm doing on this page. Normally you would have the second and third page would be actually the body of your paper or the abstract, but I'm just skipping that. I'm just going to go straight to references. Okay, so now we should go look at these other things. Okay, so APA style and grammar guidelines. So by the way, when you're writing an APA paper, there's all kinds of very specific requirements about what kind of scientific language to use or how to use font, how to even set up tables, how to avoid bias. If this is brand new to you, academic writing, I recommend looking through here on the APA style blog. Okay, so here's another guide I want to show you about. So in addition to citation styles, we also have another really helpful guide. So if you go back to the Montgomery Library homepage, then you click Library Guides, and then this is called Research Basics. So you go down to R. So this has all kinds of pages. And then I just added this today, Writing Resources, How to Write Scholarly Papers. So there's a number of websites that are from other universities, such as UNC Writing Center, Illinois Writer Workshop, Purdue OWL. And so if you're doing an annotated bibliography, I would recommend taking a look at these sources here. These are basically like free writing textbooks online by some of the top writing programs in the United States. So a third library guide I want to show you today is about Google Scholar. It's about how we can use Google Scholar to find CU library sources and sources outside of CU, and then how to find literature reviews. So why would we even do this? Why would we even use Google Scholar? Well, I know a lot of people are familiar with it before they even started their studies at CU, so it's something a lot of people are familiar with. And you can actually easily find CU Montgomery articles right alongside free scholarly content from across the internet. And there's a special tool for finding literature reviews, and there are other special tools that Google Scholar has as well. So anyway, we'll go to Google Scholar. You go to this menu bar at the top, on the top left. Then you click Settings, and then you click Library Links. And then you can see I already put that there, but I'm going to just show you how, if it doesn't show up, type in Campbellsville, and I'm going to click both. It looked like one of these got turned off by accident somehow. So if you don't have a Google account, every time you do this, you have to enable this. But if you have your Google account logged in, it should actually save these Campbellsville settings to your account. It doesn't mean you're logged into CU search. It just means those CU search links will show up in Google Scholar. So let's try a sample topic. I'm interested in the detection of disinformation. So here's one that it's available on Springer, but it's also available here, full text at CU search. So for example, what if there was an article where there was no free version? Then this would be nice to use. You click the full text at CU. Actually, let me open in a new tab. And here, so see, it connected us to a library database, and that's why that's valuable. In Google Scholar, we can actually make automatic citations too. So let's do that. So it's always important to check these and make sure it's the right format. So what if, for example, they forgot the author's name, or they spelled it wrong, or they spelled the title wrong? So anyway, we're going to use APA style as we've talked about. Copy this here. And something's funny about the page numbers, but some journals are like that they have a number, a code like that. All right, so this is an article in a periodical called Expert Systems with Applications. So we should make it follow this same format. I'll click Merge Format, and then I'll do hanging indentation. And let's see, does it look right? We have last name, first initial, then the year, and then notice how the capitalization. So this is the proper way to do APA. The first letter is capitalized, but then after that, the words are not capitalized unless it's like a special term, or if it's after a colon. And then you put the periodical or the journal. This is some kind of academic journal. It's in italics. The number of the journal, the volume number is in italics. I guess it doesn't have issue numbers and it doesn't have page numbers. So one thing we could add to really be specific is we could try to find the DOI of this. So we'll click here, and here's the DOI. Well, we can leave the sample here. I'll put that in red. And that's how you check if it's correct. You look at the example, and you look at what the citation generator gave you, and you see if it makes sense and if it looks accurate, if the capitalization looks right, the commas and everything. So that's how you do the citations. All right, so here's another thing. We also need to be critical of even the sources that you find on Google Scholar. So one problem with Google Scholar is that a huge percentage of the items are not peer-reviewed. It's not so clear if this article here is even peer-reviewed. So you have to go look at the details of what this journal is. So you could do that yourself. You could click here and study the journal and see if it's peer-reviewed. And I bet you it is. Yeah, it's a refereed international journal. But suppose you couldn't figure out where it came from. Say you found an article and you're not sure of what the journal is, or if you wonder if the journal is reliable or not, there's a strategy for that. So we can take this title and you can go search for that here in CU search. And remember, CU search doesn't like colons. We'll put the beginning of the title here. All right, see, look, it does show up here. But notice here, it actually does not label it as peer-reviewed. See, because if we do other articles, fake news, see, some of them are marked as peer-reviewed, but this article was not marked as peer-reviewed. And that's actually kind of significant because the software application that CU searches, it's actually called WorldCat Discovery, and it's managed by the Online Computer Library Center, the nonprofit organization that provides services to libraries all over the world. And this organization has very high standards for counting a journal as properly peer-reviewed or not. So this journal here, Journal of Big Data, it may have some kind of review process. So you still kind of have to do your own research, or maybe check with your professor to determine if you think this is a good journal or not. It's possible that CU search just is wrong, and maybe it will be added in the future. So anyway, that's how that works. Let's do that one more time. Automatic online fake news detection. We'll copy that title, put it into CU search. And if it doesn't show up, then it might be in libraries worldwide. So we'll check this. And I believe it's a conference paper. So that means it might not really be a peer-reviewed source. It could be peer-reviewed, but look, it doesn't have the word peer-reviewed down here. And it's probably pretty good information, but it's not at the highest level of a peer-reviewed source. So you have to be still critical of the things you find in Google Scholar. All right, so here's another great tool. So this article was from 2018. So it's getting a little old, like everything's moving so fast. So a really great technique here is using this tool. So see, under every source, there's something that says cited by. Wow, this one was cited by 3,824 source. So that means that this was a really influential publication. So now when you click this, you can see the 3,000 sources that put it in their works cited page or on their reference list. You can find something newer, basically anything after that year. So now you can find something very new, 2023. All right, and then also in addition to the cited by tool, there's this related articles. So I would think this is maybe articles both before it and after it. So cited by is only articles after it that directly cited it. But Google has its own tools where it can find articles that are on a very similar topic. And then I want to show you how you would find an article called a literature review. Sometimes your professors want you to find something called a literature review. That means an article that's a secondary source, and it usually summarizes, analyzes, and compares the findings in a group of specially selected studies on a related topic. Some of these are known as meta-analysis articles, and others are known as systematic review articles, and they have different purposes, and there's even others besides that. But you can filter this type of source right here in Google Scholar, and you click Review Articles. So let's take a look. So a comprehensive review on fake news detection with deep learning. So I'll just kind of show you what that article does. So we look at the PDF of that article. We proceed with the discussion on the data set used in previous research and their natural language processing techniques. Okay, so here's the list. So they took all these different articles and then they categorized them and drew the findings from that. So that's a really cool tool that Google Scholar gives you that CU Search actually doesn't have, fortunately. And then if you want to turn it off to any type, now it's both review articles and other kinds of sources too. And basically, that's how this works. That's how you can use the information from our Citation Styles guide and our Google Scholar guide to create properly formatted APA citations for sources you find on Google Scholar, CU Search, and any other database. Thanks for your time, and I hope you all feel more confident with using APA now.